Hi everyone, welcome to the Africa Business Club's New Venture Competition. My name is Karen Nyawera and this is Donald. We've been the co-chairs for the New Venture Competition for this year and we're so excited to have you here. So anybody that's still walking around talking, please come down and sit down. It's going to be an exciting session. But first, I'd like to say a lot of thank yous. Like this, pulling off this competition has not been easy. We've had incredible support from so many people. And I'd start with our sponsors, Afro Beverages, Quick Angels, Sandal Brands and Sheer Moisture of Unilever, and Eden Zelo, the head of Africa at Sandal Brands, who really pushed through for us this year, and Pariti. I'd also like to thank our row of seasoned judges, who they're sitting right over here at the front. Professor Naidu, Dr. Lance Bell, Okendo Lewis Gale, Richard Ni Amakia, Simone Jordan, and Rodney Appiah. I'd also like to thank our external mentors. We've had Jacob Bahan of Pariti, Robel Tipiani of CRE Ventures, and then I'd also like to thank our student mentors, Kelsey Roberts, Oyana Last, John Ma, Tony Oki, Blaise Burma, Chloe Breda, Anthony Valetti, Chris Nicopolis, Jamal Davis, Malakot Abate, Tony Campbell, and Riley Reynolds. I'd also like to thank Harvard Business School, including Jody Gannon, Satish Tadikonda, Chuck Collins, Jennifer Davis, all from the Rock Center for Entrepreneurship. I'd also like to thank our team, Benita Chumo, Kelsey Roberts, Chloe Breda, Bowen Williams, David Yu, Bryce Fadoub, and Uwais Razak. I'd also like to thank our two amazing interns from Harvard, Jibril Rushabingwi and Eden Fesahar. Finally, I'd also like to thank Lucy Shaw, who led the competition last year in 2019. And sorry, two more thank yous. And then I'd also like to thank our two conference chairs, Chinadu Okpala and Zainab Lasisi. And last but not least, I'd like to thank my fellow co-chair for this conference, Donald Osei Owusu.
So thank you all for coming here. We have an exciting lineup of entrepreneurs for you today. So we're just going to let them go at it. You know, today is for them, it's not for us. So we're going to give ourselves minimum time and allow them to shine as they're meant to be. So thank you very much for coming.
Our vision for this year's conference is creating clear visions for the future of Africa. However, the prosperity of Africa depends on entrepreneurs like these young entrepreneurs that are in the room. However, the success of these entrepreneurs, primarily in Africa, is constrained by access to capital. Our hope as the African students at HBS is that we use our privileged position to help these young entrepreneurs get access to capital. It is with this in mind that we started the New Venture Competition. This year, we received hundreds of applications from across the continent, out of which we invited the brightest and the best entrepreneurs to pitch for you here tonight, for the opportunity to win $20,000, almost $20,000 in prizes, as well as an amazing bottle of Graham Beck champagne. And I'd like to say a little bit about this bottle. This bottle is very significant because it is a bottle that both President Mandela and President Obama chose for their inauguration events. And with that in mind, I would like to invite another entrepreneur who is in the beverages space, who is our opening keynote, George Omar of Afro Beverages. He'll share his story of his success as an African entrepreneur and hopefully inspire the young ones coming up. I don't want to take too much of your time, and with that in mind, I'll invite George Omar to the stage. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you very much. Good evening, Harvard Business School. Good evening, everybody else. I understand I have to make my keynote very short with respect to the fact that the earlier group took too much time. Why this is so, I don't know. I'm an entrepreneur. I would have loved to fight for it. Anyway, my name is George Amwa. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. And I came here without a script without any paperwork, without thinking through what I'm going to tell you, because entrepreneurship, it's all about not being scripted. It's a life whereby no matter how much time you spend at Harvard Business School, you are not prepared for it. It would show up in many ways. There are so many demons attached to it. I don't even know what to tell you. So basically, I grew up in New York. I was born in Ghana, but I grew up in New York. Went to Pace University and joined the military. I served in the United States Air Force. And after the Air Force, I came back home to the Bronx and ended up going to work for Citibank, working for IBM, and then I decided to go to law school. Now, it's amazing that some 20-something, 30 years ago, I applied to Harvard Law School, and I couldn't make it. Entrepreneurship has put me right here in front of you. I ended up at University of Pennsylvania, did a stint at Wharton, got out with Masters in Public Administration, and then joined JP Morgan. Long and short, I caught the bug like most of you and decided that I'd like to do something for myself. And essentially, there was really nothing that I could do in the States, being that I am the so-called quintessential immigrant. I've done everything right. I've served the country. I've paid my taxes. What more else could I do? So I decided, let me go back to Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said earlier on, when it comes to entrepreneurship, nothing prepares you for it. I entered into telecom business in Africa and found my way into distribution. And after some time, I decided with a group of us to form Afro Beverages. The reason for Afro Beverages is very simple. When you think about vodka, you think about Russia. When you think about tequila, you think about Mexico. What do you think about Africa and a drink? Afro beverage. The whole point about Afro beverage or Afro is to create a platform, to create that culture whereby products, lifestyle, culture could run through. Because right now, the new African is a cultured African. The new African knows quality. The new African understands what it is to be a global villager. The new African is all over the place. So the new African should be able to appreciate and understand good quality beverage. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the reasons why we created Afro Beverage. It's a rum-based drink. It was made from the palm tree. Those of you who know the palm tree, there's palm wine. All right, so what you're looking now is several stages of palm wine. So just like Coca-Cola, I can't tell you the secret. But it's gone through several stages to get to this point, and I'm sure, I believe after I hear there's an after party. We'll serve it there so you can have a taste of it, or after this you can have a taste of it. All right. I like to say this to the new entrepreneurs coming. Why they would choose to be entrepreneurs baffles me. And let me say this. Entrepreneurship is not really about building a life of riches and being famous. Entrepreneurship is really about learning about one's own self, because you're going to fail. You will fail. You will fail so many times. All right? The greatest success of Mr. Amwa today, as you look at it, is the nature of I've failed so many times. So in failing, this is what you can come up with. In failing is the work that you're going to be judged upon tonight. Without failure, I can almost guarantee you won't get anywhere else. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much. Let's get this show up and running. We're going to welcome our first startup. Our first startup is Nanasi, and it is going to be represented by Alex Mativo. Thank you.
Hi. My name is Alex Mativo, founder and CEO of Nanasi, and we're on a mission to make online retail in Africa more social and frictionless. So here's a picture of where I come from. It's a small town called At the River on the outskirts of Nairobi, and on every street corner, you'll find these small shops. We call them dukas because, as you know it, that they're the heartbeat of our economy. And this particular one is owned by Julius. And for 20 years, it's remained a small business simply because he couldn't get access to markets beyond their geographical borders. And unfortunately, that's the case across Africa, where small businesses are trapped in poverty because they lack access beyond their geographical borders. But with internet penetration getting to the most marginalized communities in Africa and data costs getting cheaper, 180 million merchants have moved to social media platforms to sell because they can now get access to markets that were initially out of reach. And currently, 85% of all online sales are coming from social platforms. But these 180 million merchants still find it a complex experience to sell on social media. But that's why we come in as a business. So and the reason why they find it as a complex retail experience is because chat, as you know it, is quite messy. There's a lack of buyer and seller protection. There's no fulfillment solutions. And a chunk of it is purely guesswork. So what we've done with Nanasi is that we've given a retail platform to merchants without technical and business experience to be able to collect payment from social media platforms and also manage inventory across all these platforms without ever having to build an e-commerce website. So how we're different is that most of our competition are e-commerce enablers. And what that means is they give you an online store or a website to sell your products. But what that does is it requires you as a business owner to get on a steep learning curve, to learn how to use a new distribution channel. Or to make even matters worse, it adds a new distribution channel, and you have to manage a different one. But what we do at Nanasi is quite different. Instead, we leverage existing social media platforms that merchants are already using to sell. And we help them boost their sales, increase their visibility, and get access to millions of potential customers that were initially out of reach. So we got into this business because the market potential is really huge. Currently in Africa, social commerce is valued at $22 billion. And we're starting with East Africa, where we've seen 16 million merchants do $5.2 billion in GMV every year. And so far, we've done a really successful beta in Nairobi, where we've worked with 100 businesses, and we've seen them do $1 million in GMV. And as of January 2020, we had 1,000 merchants sign up on our platform, and currently, we're on the road to scaling to 100,000 merchants over the next 24 months. So how we're going to get to 100,000 merchants is quite simple. We've been able to tap into online communities of SMEs, portfolio companies, and of some of the largest companies in Africa, like banks, telcos, and different technology providers. So the revenue model is quite simple. We, as Nanasi, get an 8% commission on the transactions that are happening on our platform. And with our current growth trajectory, we're going to hit $100 million in revenue in just 36 months. So my team has plenty of experience and depth at every level of our industry because previously, we built a company called the Ethnic Brand, and it's used by millions of SMEs in Africa to manufacture their products and get to market quicker. So as you know, we definitely understand the importance of opening up trade borders for SMEs in Africa. Therefore, that's why we need your help today. So we're looking to raise $500,000 to grow fast and scale the team, and also get to our goal of 100,000 merchants by end of year. So in conclusion, if you want to be part of this revolution in online retail across Africa, come talk to me after the pitch. Thank you very much.
What I know is that in Africa, many of the people who run this kind of business you just showed us are not present on social media. They are also not tech-savvy people, and they shy away from technology. What would be your answer if I told you that the figures you are quoting here in achieving $100 million in revenue in 36 months is unrealistic?
All right, so two things. One, most of us, who's on Instagram or Facebook, have you seen any business trying to sell you a sneaker, a shoe, or shirt? Or have you bought anything from an Instagram account? Obviously. So there's millions of such businesses that use social media because it's easy to set up. It's a free account, and you get access to millions of potential customers. But selling on these platforms is messy, and there's a lot of complications. So what we've done, because we know that they have zero technical and business experience, we've given them a platform that doesn't need a steep learning curve. All you need to do is collect payment from Instagram or Facebook and just manage your inventories. And then that way, people that shy away from technology or people that are in tech savvy can come on board and use this platform to make selling very frictionless.
Alex, thank you for presenting and being the first one up. It's never easy to be the first one, so you did a fantastic job there. My question is really around the route to market. I didn't quite understand why you're going down the mobile telecom route, because of all these, you're talking about the fact that they're already leveraging social media, or at least some of your customers are leveraging social media. Why aren't you simply acquiring the customers via social media? And if you were to go down that route, what would be the cost of acquiring that customer relative to the lifetime value of the customer once they come on your platform?
All right, so your question is why we chose to use this as our go-to-market strategy?
Yeah, and then the second piece is, what's the cost of acquiring that customer via this strategy?
All right, so two things. One, the reason why we chose this as our go-to-market strategy is because, let me just give you an example. A company like Safaricom has around 40 million subscribers in Kenya. So they have a footprint across the whole country. And they're very keen on creating products that are geared towards our target demographic. So one of the fastest ways of scaling in Africa is not approaching people individually, but by jumping on giants who already have a footprint. So it's easier for us to scale across maybe Nairobi or Kenya with one text from Safaricom, because they already have a large footprint. So it makes sense to use that because there's an overlap between their customers and our target demographic. And what's the cost of retention? So when we get customers on board, the cost of signing up on our platform is free. And the reason why we get a commission based on transactions is because they only pay when they're selling. So it mitigates the risk of them having a platform that's not working for them. So that way, one, we get access to customers, and two, it's, the cost of retention is based on how much sales they're doing.
Thank you.
All right.
I have just a quick question. First of all, love the slides, very nice, neat and crisp, and
Thank you.
Enjoyed the presentation. But a lot of it is translating strategy and numbers into tangible actions. Very important to be able to convey that. You mentioned a couple of things. You mentioned 100 million in revenues, so at about 8%, that means you're expecting about $1 billion in flow through your business. It'll be good to think about if you got 8% commission. It'll be good to share with us how many active clients do you have on the platform at the moment, would be a quick question, number one. How many merchants do you actually have? You're an asset-light platform, which is great. $500,000 is a big ask. in an asset-light platform, given that you're working as just a platform, what do you intend doing with the $500,000, and what percentage can an investor or a partner expect of the business?
All right. So just to jump on this really quickly, we know that the reason why very many e-commerce companies have failed in Africa, let me just give an example of Congo, is because logistics is very capital intensive. Yes? Because unlike America, in Africa, we do not have street addresses. So when you pick delivery method on an e-commerce platform, it's going to take maybe 3 hours to get a hold of your delivery person. So we understand that problem. And one of the things that we're doing is we're turning the small dukas like Julius into pickup points into pickup points for online retail businesses. And because all the dukas are ubiquitous in Kenya. So by investing in making off-the-grid businesses ready for online businesses, I think that's why we need $500,000 to do that. All right, thank you very much.